I was only 18 years old when a single decision put me on the road for the rest of my life. Trucking gave me free.
At 2 a.m. on I-80, I picked up a girl in a white dress, and I shouldn't have.
In the middle of the Arizona desert, a truck followed me too close, too quiet, for too long. Then a voice came through the radio.
A voice on my CB asked me to slow down. A Hispanic female driver was never seen again.
Back in 1988, when I had just turned 18 years old, I was working a dead-end warehouse job, hauling boxes for minimum wage. I had absolutely no intention of going to college, no real plans for my future at all, honestly. I was just existing, day after day, until one afternoon when this stereotypical good old boy pulled up in a gleaming red Kenworth tractor. He looked like a character straight out of a movie. We struck up a conversation, just casual talk at first. And that's when I learned that he was making nearly 4 times what I earned simply by driving a big rig across the country. I remember glancing down at my worn-out sneakers, busted and barely holding together, and thinking to myself, hell, I could do that. That single thought changed my entire life. I took every dollar I had saved to buy myself a car and instead spent it on getting my CDL. For anyone who doesn't know, a CDL is a commercial driver's license, the kind you need to legally operate tractor-trailers, buses, or vehicles carrying hazardous materials. About a month later, I found myself driving to my very first trucking job interview. I've been behind the wheel ever since, and now I'm pushing close to 40 years on the road. Like any line of work, trucking has its highs and its lows. When freight is moving steadily, the money can be fantastic. If you hustle hard and stay mostly within the legal limits, clearing 6 figures a year is absolutely doable. Dispatch might choose your destination, but once the key is turned and the engine fires up, it's just you, the CB radio, and 36 tons of steel and rubber moving together. I've seen nearly every inch of this country without spending a dime of my own money. And as long as your deliveries are on time and you don't tear up company equipment, no one is hovering over your shoulder. That said, those so-called air ride seats feel more like slabs of concrete when you're sitting in them for 10 to 12 hours straight. Holidays like Thanksgiving lose their meaning when you're eating turkey and yams out of a plastic container on the shoulder of I-80. But none of that compares to what I consider the worst part of the job. It isn't fuel prices, insurance costs, or shippers and receivers who treat you like gum stuck to the bottom of their shoe. It's not the lumpy box, greasy truck stop food, or showers that look like a crime scene. You get used to those things. The real worst part of trucking is, ironically, the very same thing that can sometimes be the best part to the people you meet out on the road. 6 years into my career, I was running eastbound on I-80, just west of Lincoln, Nebraska. It was round 2 in the morning, and I was cruising at about 68 miles per hour, my engine humming that familiar Detroit rhythm. My CB radio was silent, quieter than a church at midnight, and the only sound filling the cab was the wind whipping past the doors. Then, out of nowhere, I noticed something pale moving along the shoulder of the highway. I eased off the throttle and clicked my high beams down. That's when I saw her, a young woman, maybe 19 or 20 at most, wearing a thin white sundress. Her hair was wild and unkempt, and from what I could tell, she was only wearing sandals. She stood there with her thumb stuck out, desperately trying to flag someone down. I'd heard every horror story imaginable about picking up hitchhikers. Tales of scams, violent lunatics, robbers, and even that classic disappearing girl story every trucker has heard 100 times. Normally, I would have kept rolling. Not my problem, not my responsibility. But something about her appearance made me slow that Peterbilt over to the shoulder. I set the brakes, climbed down from the cab, and walked back slowly so I wouldn't scare her. When I got close enough, I asked if she needed a ride. She didn't say a word, just nodded and hurried toward me. Up close, the backpack on her shoulders made her look even younger. I noticed streaks of mascara running down her cheeks and small bruises on her arms, like someone had grabbed her too roughly. Her voice trembled as she thanked me. Then she climbed into the passenger seat without hesitation.